G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. So in this video we are going to go through which banner I think is better for you to summon on with your tickets during the worldwide celebration or the 350 million download celebration. I think it's actually the 350 million worldwide download celebration, but it's all fine. Basically, we're going to discuss which banner is better. I'm going to do a quick multi on each one. Just in case we get some good luck, and I'll immediately say that banner is better. But the main things to know about the banners are that we basically have a chance at some really good DFEs on both banners. And also both banners do have access to legendary units as well, all the way up to the Int God Goku, I believe. So as far as I know, they are pretty high value banners. Obviously there's no guaranteed SSRs or anything, so that is something that you need to be aware of. You can just consistently get SRs. That is just one of those things, but essentially both banners are pretty good right off the bat. So right away there's no right or wrong answer technically. There are people who will calculate that, depending on your chances, each banner can technically produce X amount of stones by allowing you to complete X amount of content and everything. We're not going to dive too deep into the banners, even though that kind of maths is really cool and all, but in reality it's not too much of an issue. Hey, double SSRs. So in reality, we just want to take a over-the-top view on what I think the better banner is. We'll start first by looking at the pros of both banners in terms of units and everything. Take a look at the units very briefly, and then so we'll start with banner A. Right off the bat, banner A has we'll start with banner A. One important thing I want to point out, the rates on the 50 ticket and the 7 ticket summon are exactly the same, 10%, 60%, 30%. So there is no reason to save for 50. The reason the 50 is there is because the memorial stones that you get can be used to buy tickets, and if you buy the tickets you might get more than 50, and you might want to summon for all of those at once. But we have first up on banner A, we have SSB God Goku. So SSB God Goku is a Universe 7 lead and a Universal Survival Saga lead. He starts off slow, but he progressively gets better as he goes along and takes some hits. He can do some really high damage when you're in a pinch, and he has one of the best active skills in the game with very little requirement. You need Universe 7 units, but a lot of them are the best in the Universal Survival Saga category and obviously the reps of Universe 7 category, and you can get a couple of them on Realm of Gods now. So his active skill is probably like the most it's very easy to activate. Then we get Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. This Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is a Super Saiyan 2 and a Resurrected Warriors lead. He has a pretty sweet passive. Basically, he improves the more health he has, and the less health he has, he goes down slightly. He also gains additional attack and defense when you collect a certain number of orbs. He transforms whenever your enemy has 80% health from the fourth turn onwards, from the third or fourth turn onwards. And overall, he's pretty swag. When he transforms, he basically gains an improved version of his passive, along with the ability to guard and the ability to have attacks effective against all types. Plus, he stuns on the super attack. So, really good transformation once you get it out. Can carry you through a lot of hard content. His leader skill is pretty good. Maybe not as strong as Goku's, but both of them are pretty solid leads. Resurrected Warriors doesn't have a vast number of leads. And obviously Universal Survival Saga does, but if you don't have any of those, it's quite a valuable category to get. Then we have Kefla, a Universe 6 lead. Rapid growth is not maybe the most inspiring category, but Universe 6 is pretty damn tough. It's pretty damn strong if you have the right units. You've probably seen me use that team in quite a few of the Gods of Destruction events. She starts off with decent defense and gains her attack on super, which means supports will make this girl look fantastic. She progressively gets better throughout her transformations, eventually gaining evasion and of course the ability to fire an additional attack once she attains 6 or more key spheres. So keeping her with an orb changer of some kind will really make her flourish. Defensively, she is great, and she also has some really good utility on her side and does great damage. Then Tech Majin Buu, an underrated unit, I feel, from most people. I think a lot of people have a negative perception about him. He leads the Majin Buu and Artificial Life Forms category, a very powerful leader skill actually. It combines two interesting categories and lets him control both of them quite nicely. His passive is great. In the form of damage reduction of 40%, alongside a great amount of attack and a high chance of stunning and sealing the enemy once he transforms, which is guaranteed pretty much from the third turn. The only real issue with this guy is his wonky link set in his Evil Boo form. Realistically, that's like his only issue, alongside the fact that his true ultimate form really can only come out quite late into the fight, which isn't the worst thing. It's pretty damn powerful. Key +3 in attack and defense of 220%, with reduction in damage of 50%, plus he stacks his defense for 3 turns, which means basically he becomes a big wall of, well, defensive juggernautism. He regains health for you, and he has a pretty decent link set for Majin Buu character at this stage. It's just, like I said, his issues are in his Evil Boo form, where his link set's maybe not so inspiring. It's a little bit wonky. Evil Boo's always had this wonky link set, so you're going to need to change link set partners halfway through at some point. Then from there, the list goes into some older DFEs, units like Beerus, who are Realm of the Gods and Exploding Rage leads. Exploding Rage is an okay category. Beerus himself is a pretty decent character, but requires a little bit of setup. Linking him up with something like Strength Whis really makes him shine. Units like Vados or Champa, units that can activate his links but also give him some additional defensive support before he gets hit, really augment his attack. And then we get into kind of the older units like Bond of Master and Disciple category lead, and Future Gohan. He's also a Hybrid Saiyans lead, but realistically he's just a great defensive unit, but he does have a bit of a wonky leader skill because you kind of need Bond of Master and Disciple category units, and that category is okay. It's not the most inspiring category, but when he transforms he becomes a absolute monster defensively, very impressive unit. His defense, his damage reduction requirement stays permanent, so he's pretty awesome. Then we get Piccolo, who is the Worthy Rivals lead and the Namekian category lead. He's been recently buffed pretty big by the ability to have multiple Piccolos on one team, which really actually quite helps him out overall. The main thing with Piccolo right now is just that the Namekian's category is still a little bit too small. It still needs some improvements really. His transformation is one of the best in the games, and his ability to foresee super attacks is really good, so there's nothing wrong with Piccolo himself, especially since the same name update makes him way more viable, way more likely to transform. The only real issue that Piccolo has is just the Worthy Rivals category. Could do with 1 or 2 updated units. Then we get into the slightly older units, Trunks, Gogeta, transforming Goku Black, transforming Goku. All of these units are all great in their own right, but they're a little bit older. There's nothing wrong with them, but they don't really have anything specifically special about them that I think should warrant you something for them. So I think, although they are great units, I don't want to specifically mention them as pros on the banner. Then we look at the Tech Gohan here. He's probably the best Hybrid Saiyans lead in the game. He has guard against all types and is exceptionally good in harder in-game content. He greatly stacks attack and defense on his super attack, and he has the ability to transform into a different version to deal out even more damage, and also gains the ability to stun and gains attacks effective against all types. Very powerful unit. He's been used by a lot of people to complete things like the Gods event, and pretty much anything. He's really quite good. The main issue that we have with good old Gohan is just the Saviors category is not the most exciting category. There's no real specific content you can conquer with the Saviors category, but it's made up for with the Hybrid Saiyans leader skill. Then we get Gotenks. Originally his leader skill was pretty damn bad. The special pose category is still a tiny bit weak, although the youth category recently got a big buff with the same name update. The ability to run multiple Gotens, the ability to run the Goten Trunks and Krillin card, and just overall the impressiveness of the category has grown quite a bit with some powerful EZAs and awakenings. Gotenks himself is an exceptional fusion card. He is one of the top units that you can use in multiple SBRs and ESBRs. Pretty much any SBR, ESBR he can be used in, he is pretty damn good in. He is exceptional once he transforms. He's okay in his first form, but he transforms from the third turn onwards, and he gains a pretty good defensive passive. Obviously, if it triggers, he can have great defense. If it doesn't, his defense is still alright. But he gains the ability to essentially have multiple super attacks, all which have a high chance of stunning, and raises defense as well. So he can become quite defensively sound in his second form and provides a lot of utility, which is great in stages like ESBR and SBR. And then we get his final form, where basically for 7 turns he becomes the equivalent of an LR. His damage spikes tremendously, he stacks attack and defense for multiple turns, and he just basically does a crap ton of damage. He is very impressive as his SS3 version, very awesome card, and really exceptional. So yeah, as much as his leader skill maybe in the past was a bit diminishing on him, now the youth category is quite strong. He's the strongest youth category lead, and it's a really powerful fun team to use. Then we get the Revenge or Low Class Warriors unit, Bardock. Probably the worst joint leader skill in the game. The Low Class Warriors category is mainly made up of free-to-play cards, and as much as they are fun to use in a team, they do tail off quite badly right now. They might get potential EZAs in future, which can buff the category, and we're waiting on the Super or the Saiyan Saga, and possibly some changes to units like Goku. If a couple of Gokus got added to the Low Class Warriors category, then the team would be looking a lot better. But when Bardock transforms, he becomes a very impressive unit. He does stack defense in his first form, so he can easily become quite a tanky unit. And his second form gives him a whole bunch of perks against extreme class units, which makes him super helpful in a lot of stages. The main thing with Bardock is just understanding how to use him and him getting a better pairing partner. Once we get a good Super Saiyan Bardock, this Bardock's really going to shine on multiple categories. He has a very interesting category setup, things like Res Warriors, Time Travelers, Crossover, Super Saiyan, Revenge. He's got really interesting categories, which makes him quite a nice filler slot on multiple teams. We just need a better pairing partner for him, but Bardock himself is still a very impressive unit who thrives with a single dupe. Then we get the Super Saiyan 2 Goku Angel. He is the Super Saiyan 3 and Otherworld Warriors lead, which makes him quite valuable. Super Saiyan 3 leads are very rare, and he is literally the best one in the game. Otherworld Warriors category is also quite a rare category to get a lead for, considering the only other one I believe is the Physical Freezer. And Goku is literally the best unit on the Super Saiyan 3 category, pretty much still. And he is basically the top unit that you're going to want to run that category. The only other SS3 lead is the Int Bardock from years ago, and he's tailed off really badly. So this Goku is vital to running any content that requires an SS3 unit, and that's, even though it may only be one SBR stage and one ESBR stage in future, there's still a lot of value in that. For completing units, getting those EZA units, and just making your life a lot easier. Goku is really good. He's also the Otherworld categories lead, and he's on a decent amount of categories himself. He pairs really well with other SS3 Gokus or Majin Vegetas, and he's just a really impressive unit that is very similar in build to Vegeta, but instead of gaining guard, he gains evasion. The only issue with that is that it makes him tail off a little bit more in long form content, but that's not the end of the world. Then we come to Android 13. Android 13 is a interesting unit. His leader skill is androids and target Goku category, which is okay. In terms of passive, he's basically designed exactly like Cooler. It's a bit weird that they made him an android support when he's a target Goku category main, but it's all quite fine. This guy, again, similar to Bardock, probably needs a better Fusion 13 for him to link up to. Once that happens, he'll really start to thrive as a unit. In terms of category, the target Goku category is okay, but it's not necessarily the greatest. Then we get Strength Cooler, still one of the best units in the game, just from his leader skill alone. Terrifying Conquerors and Transformation Boost is a very powerful dual leader skill, and the fact that he is also a support for both categories makes him a vital component in a lot of harder content. The fact that he leads the category so well and provides key really makes him a good piece even on a super led team, which is really quite impressive. and he can function pretty fully on either or. Once he transforms, he basically gains the ability to annihilate any Saiyan enemy, but his defense is slightly tapered off. It does have a limit. It's not bad at all, because his link set is really good, but it does taper off slightly nowadays compared to other units. I mean, he's not going to hit like 400k defense or anything, but he's still viable in all endgame content. His leader skill is amazing, and anything against Saiyans, he's going to be a huge damage dealer in the form of that. He can get blasted away once or twice nowadays, but he is still very impressive as a unit. His link set is great, and he's got big bad bosses. And then finally, a bit of speculation. This Goku I'm going to list as a pro. I know a lot of people will say why. He's a little bit dated, but I have a hunch that they are going to bring out a new Namek Goku as one of the LRs, and I think that's going to be a massive boost for this guy. It's going to be a great linking partner for him, and I think he's really going to shine in that way. He might also get an easy A, or at least I'm hoping, but if he doesn't, he'll still be one of the better link partners for that Goku, and that alone gives him some value, because even though he's slightly outdated, he's still pretty decent, especially if you get a couple dupes in him, so he's really solid from that aspect. Then after that, we start to get into some of the older units, very similar to the other banner, and most of them are really great, especially the physical Vegeta, who's one of the few Pure Saiyans leads on Global. And he'll be super handy in future. Even when another one does come out, he's also a super class lead. But essentially, we get into the older units. Now, in terms of Banner A, the real benefits of Banner A are the Majin Buu for me. I think he's got a great leader skill and super helpful in terms of that content there. Universe 6 with Kefla is one of the best teams in the game. And of course, the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku is obviously a super powerful unit that has a great leader skill and links really well with other LRs. One thing I do like to point out is that on Banner B, we basically have the best hybrid Saiyans lead in the form of Gohan, who basically removes Int Future Gohan from the other banner. We have the transformation boost Cooler, who's one of the best Dokkan Fest leader skills in the game. We have one of the few Super Saiyan 3 leads in the form of Goku. We probably have one of the best starter DFEs in the form of the physical transforming Vegeta. And we have a really good fusion unit in the form of Gotenks, who's great on multiple categories. I think Banner B has the better overall collection of units. I think even in terms of its Easy A units, it has the, Super Saiyan 3 Tech Goku hasn't come out yet on Global. We have the AGLSs for Vegeta, who's part of the Shadow Dragon saga, which is really great. The Strength Goku, which is on the other banner, is not part of the Shadow Dragon saga, and that's one of the more niche stages you need for harder content. We have the Int Gogeta, which is super duper helpful on fusion content, and we have the Int Janemba, who is very solid as a Easy A unit still to this day on movie bosses. And then of course we have the Strength Omega, who's great. He is a super powerful unit for the Extreme Strength Super Battle Road stage. So overall, that banner just feels like it has better units. Obviously the Easy A units on the other side are super strong, but they just don't feel as necessary or as powerful. The physical Gotenks SS3 is great on the other banner, but he's great for the Super Saiyan 3 stage, and he's great for the Fusion stage. Very similar to the Int Gotenks, but you can grab Int Gotenks on Banner B, who performs similarly the same function. And even though he may not be as good right off the bat, he still fulfills the same niche categories and allows you to have a lead for those categories as well. So it's things like that where I feel like some of the Banner A units essentially get replaced by the Banner B units. You look at Tech Trunks, who's a great Future Saga lead, one of my favorite cards. I have him rainbowed, but he is essentially not as valuable because there is a Pure Saiyans and a 100% superclass lead in the form of transforming Vegeta on Banner B. And so because of that, it just feels like the banners are not equal. Like Tech Hybrid Saiyan Gohan replaces the Int Future Gohan. Bond of Master and Disciple doesn't have any content tied to it. So it's just one of those things. But that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time. But until then, stay safe and bye.